Good morning. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to all of you. I hope all of you had a wonderful Memorial Day holiday. We are back with news and information that will help you and your family stay healthy and safe during this quarantine time. So welcome to all of you. I want to hear how your holidays were. Did you guys stay at home? Did you go to some beaches or the pool or get out in nature and celebrate the time out? So let me know, comment down below. And also for all of you joining, let me know where you're tuning in. I have a whole bunch of news specifically related to 11 states that now have admitted that they have been miscalculating the numbers for COVID-19 cases. So definitely we'll go over that and a whole bunch of news that we're going to catch up. I was off Sunday and Monday, so I feel totally rested. And excited to see you all again. So I'm drinking my stress relief tea in my quarantine mug. So I will be sipping on that. That's rhodiola and holy basil. Fantastic stuff for reducing stress. And today, our core topic, once we get through all the news, is going to be utilizing a not so well known, but very powerful resource that we have as humans and have seen in our history through the millennium of utilizing glandulars. So we're going to talk a little bit about glandular health to support stress, the stress response, hormones, metabolic challenges, weight, hormones, thyroid, immunity. So we'll dig into that today. I'm going to share with you a whole bunch of resources that you can take with you. Also some clinical case examples of individuals I've worked with that this has been phenomenal. So welcome all of you. I see we've got Texas. Hey, Kay Jefferson. Yay, Lois and Pat. Good morning. I'm so excited. Before we kick off, Pat and Ron adopted 2 cute little kitty cats. I got pictures over the weekend and they are a cute pair of little sisters. So I'm so excited for you guys. I can't wait to see more pics. All right, so we've got Michelle outside of PA. Welcome, everybody. Okay, so here, let's kick off with our news. So the U.S. is at 1.697, so we're almost at 1.7 million cases. The world is at almost 5.5 cases, so 5,495,000. Brazil has now moved into the second highest rate of cases. They are at just under 377,000 cases, and their president apparently is a total COVID denier. They had some protesters over the weekend, and he was out, and one of them broke free of the barriers and ran up to him. That makes me really nervous in terms of just the lack of crowd control. And then also in certain areas of Brazil, they're just so massively populated. So we'll be watching and monitoring that. Their cases have really, really increased, and the hospitals are already being overburdened. Here in the US, we are just under 100,000 deaths. So we're at 99,462 deaths as of this morning. Today is the 26th. The projection was that we would be at and above 100,000 cases by June 1st, which is next Monday. So we will probably see, depending on how the next 2 days chart out, we'll probably see us hit that by tomorrow, midday, if not earlier. So some things I want to highlight in terms of states. I'm just going to run down kind of where we are state-wise. There's been some movement with some states. New York is at 362, so 362,000. New Jersey's at 155,000. Illinois has moved up, and they are now at 112,000 cases. California has moved up to 94,000 cases. And I've got some news to report for any of you tuning in from California. There's a whole bunch of news. So they have 19 different outbreaks of COVID in 9 different industry facilities, meaning there are it's not just the meatpacking industry in California. They do have an LA meatpacking plant that has over 150 cases. I think it's 153 cases as of yesterday. But they're also seeing other facilities, coffee manufacturing, the meat industry, frozen foods, tea, seaweed, and baked goods. So there are an assortment of manufacturers in California that those plants are considered essential. The meatpacking industry, there was an executive order, they can't shut down, and we are seeing just explosive quantities of cases. They're one of the main reasons why California is at that higher threshold, even though like LA County is still in lockdown to some degree. So there's been some loosening in that over the weekend. But the other thing that I want to report is just more information. Last week I highlighted that they identified the Mother's Day church that had opened, and there was one person they identified that had, at that point, as of last week, infected 3 church participants. Now over 9 cases have been linked to exposure at that church. And that becomes why it's just really, we have to really be cognizant of enclosed spaces for over 30 minutes. So, 30 minutes or less, if you're kind of mobile and in and out, that decreases your exposure rate, but 30 minutes or more, and then especially with the respiratory droplets from singing in church services, the lack of circulation, that just puts those places in a higher risk category. And it's another reason to continue the virtual services. So just let me know, any of you who did do virtual services over the weekend, and if you feel like you're getting the same experience, let me know. Okay, so Pennsylvania, you guys are at 68,000 cases. Texas is at 55. They've moved up a little bit since my last reporting. As of Saturday, they moved up by 2,000 cases, and Michigan is at 54. And I don't know if you guys know, I refer to this. This is my COVID-19 notebook. These are all of the episodes. So every episode I have notes. I'm over 3/4 of a way through this notebook. Is this crazy? So, okay. Michigan's at 54. Florida is at 51,000. They crossed the 50,000 threshold, even though they have not outwardly acknowledged that they are going to be doing anything to change the whole situation with the case reporting of the antibody versus the viral testing. I'll get to that here in a minute. Maryland's at 47,000 and Georgia's at 43. Georgia's ticked up a bit. And yesterday there were reports that we had our first first death of a minor. So a 17-year-old boy here in the area. He's the youngest victim here in Georgia. And we have a total of 9 MIS-C. So that's the multi-inflammatory syndrome in children. That's the new designation for COVID in children. Georgia has 9 cases. And unfortunately, this is very frustrating to report. We have a private school in the northwestern part of Georgia, so kind of close to where we live, or northwest of Atlanta. There is a just recent graduate who has tested positive for COVID. The school on the 15th or 17th, they did a drive-through graduation ceremony process, and the student was positive apparently in transmitting during that process. And then after the drive-through graduation, they went home. They had company over to their house, and then the student went with friends and left went out of town. I don't know if they stayed in state or they went out of state. But that's going to be a cluster that we're going to get more reporting on just how many cases came from that one individual. Who knows where they caught it? But that's something Georgia, especially here in Atlanta, we're monitoring. And it's just one of those things. We just have to really, really be cautious. And, one of the things I've kind of notated just with us and over the weekend, we got a pool. We set it up for Gabriel. We're not going to the pool. Our pool is open down the road. But reports early on, nobody's wearing masks. There's not a lot of social distancing. Some college kids back home, they're violating our normal rules. There's class, they're drinking at the pool, throwing chairs in the pool. It is now daily a calculated risk assessment that we have to maintain in our daily activities, and then also for our kids. One of the challenges with that is it causes us a lot of stress. And that is something that I want to address. I don't know why this keeps shaking. In today's video, we're going to dig into that. Okay. So Pammy Whammy. Hey, Pammy Whammy. Did the boy have underlying conditions? They did not release any specific details as of yet about the 17-year-old. But I'm on it. Like, I am monitoring that, because that, to me, for us here, oh, good, I'm locked in. I wasn't sure if I put my microphone on. We're monitoring just as parents and just kind of assessing the field for kids in terms of what that looks like. Okay, so let's see. Kay Jefferson did virtual church services as well, not the same as in person, but would rather be safe at this time. Absolutely. Letitia, good morning, Letitia. She says, in certain areas of New York City, or of New York, they want teenagers to wear masks, which some refuses to. It's a higher risk since they think it's more elderly cases and death increasing gradually. Stay safe. Absolutely. And there is definitely, I mean, we've all been young and teenagers. Mortality is not an issue you think about. I mean, it's not even an issue you think about until, like, probably I'd say your 40s or 50s. But I mean, really, like, it in the teenage world, they're invincible. And it's really challenging. I've seen some videos of little boys like Gabriel's age that were getting upset about not getting haircuts. It's just, there's just a lot of change, but we have to be really cautious. Asta, you said something there, 30 minutes or less. That's one reason why I don't feel comfortable with 1 hour to 90 minutes massage. Not right now. Absolutely. And so I'm not saying that. What I do want to make this clear. I have not had any data. I haven't seen any reports that specifically say, the threshold of, like, where your tolerance should be in terms of exposure, or this scientifically is proven 30 minutes or more. But I think it's safe to assume, especially depending on the type of situation you're in, an enclosed space that has minimal ventilation, a lot of people, minimal social distancing, then also not a lot of mask wearing. Those are all different elements of higher probability. And then time is a big thing. So 30 minutes. So even if you were to go to a cafe, you're outdoor dining, you're still going to have some interaction less than 6 feet away with your server, and potentially as people are walking to their table. So there's still a likelihood of exposure. But it definitely does weigh on us, and it causes us stress for sure. Just knowing, how do we be safe and how do we navigate this so that we lower our risk factors? Carol said, my church is online and that is good for me. There's no difference. No, comfortable that they are opening in a couple of weeks. I totally get it. And Ron Wynn says, did do a virtual service. It's not the same, but I'm thankful for it. Yes, I totally get it. That's part of the beauty of church gatherings, is you have the social atmosphere. I would like to see, and I don't know if this is happening, but I'd love to see, like, Zoom related meetings and community groups within those churches, just to kind of have the after element of socialization. Usually there's, like, donuts in the, wherever the parish hall or whatnot, and then you get to socially gather. And that would be great. Or, like, virtual Sunday schools and things like that. Okay, but I totally understand. Those are really hard. And I will tell you this week we kick off Mommy Camp. So I'm navigating what that looks like. I am putting on the mommy teacher homeschool hat, unlike I've ever done before. So really exciting, sorting through things here, and posted a ton of stuff online to sell on eBay. By the way, eBay is great for selling stuff. We're, like, getting rid of old baby clothes and stuff we don't need anymore. Okay, so let's dig into some news. The New York Stock Exchange in New York, the floor opens today. They're only doing a partial kind of opening. 80 brokers are going to be on the floor. That's a 25% reduction than normal. They are required to wear masks. There's hand sanitizers everywhere, cleaning, all that stuff. And nobody who works there administratively or on the floor is allowed in the floor if they've ridden any type of public transportation. So it's not, you're basically, the rules are, you're not allowed in if you've used public transport. I don't know how expansive that is, but that's buses, subways. I don't know if does Uber qualify as public transportation? So that's kind of an interesting component in terms of some of these brokers live in Connecticut and other way outside of New York City. So who knows, but that's really big. I do want to report, the meat shortage has been a complaint I've seen a lot of you make, and I've gotten a lot of commentary about. The plant-based meat industry has seen expansive growth, like 225% growth. Companies and brands like Impossible Foods and Beyond Meat, neither of which I'm totally on board with in terms of the health category. While they are meat-free, there's a lot of additives. So just be really cognizant of that. That Kroger, I think it's Kroger. I don't shop at Kroger, but Kroger signed a massive deal with, I think, Impossible Foods. And so Kroger is one of the biggest food chains throughout the US, and they have different brands under them. So you're going to start to see more of those. Just know that sometimes those alternatives does not equal healthy. Okay. The other thing too, reporting movies, our movie experience is going to change. Movie theaters here in Georgia, they've been open now for, I think, about a month. So I will say the one that's near us that we go to, it's called the Movie Tavern, and it's seriously parents' dream for a date night, like short and sweet, and it's dining, and you eat at your table at your little seat, and then you watch a movie while you're eating, and then you go home. And so you shorten the time that you're out, and it's it's a great combination. That type of setting, our theater, that has not been open. So I don't know how many other theaters are still remaining closed, but the theater industry is pushing towards things like more online sales because they can lock down and assign seats. So, the kind of assigned seat online ordering, minimal exposure, minimal point contact with people. And the reports are that the industry will still be okay if they have 10% of their population, or 10%. I guess really it works out to be 90% decrease of the normal sales. They can operate apparently 10% of capacity and still be profitable. But there are going to be changes in terms of like popcorn. You might not be able to get popcorn anymore. Just like little things that we don't really think about movies. The other thing that's my concern with the movie theater is 30 minutes. It's more than 30 minutes. So you got the circulation. So even though you've got folks kind of social distancing, some may or may not be requiring everybody to wear masks. Georgia is pretty loose in terms of the mask wearing. So, that's just kind of, I love Netflix and Amazon and, Amazon Prime and YouTube TV. We have cut cable. We are all digital on our TVs. So that is something just to consider. Apparently the Ghostbusters movie was pushed back. There is oh gosh, this was exciting. There was going to be a Top Gun sequel with Tom Cruise, for all of you who love Maverick and Goose and all those guys. So Maverick was going to be back, and they've delayed that. There's been some Disney Mulan delays. So we ended up watching one of the movies, and they just brought it to Netflix or whatever, Amazon. And honestly, I'm like, oh my gosh, $14. That's so expensive when you're at home. But we end up spending a whole lot more for a family of 3 in a theater. It's just funny, the mental perspective of what's expensive sitting at home on a couch versus when you go out. Okay, so let's get to some of the major piece of news here. I've been monitoring this since I reported it. The CDC and 11 states have acknowledged that they have, whether this was intentional or an error, that remains to be seen. But the combination of viral test results and the combination of the antibody testing, the serologic test, the antibody test, there have been combined reporting. So if you if you took a viral test, the quantity of viral tests that are being processed on the daily basis are a whole lot less. Oh, let's see. We've got, nobody's here. The dogs are freaking out. We have our neighbors, the lawn guys are here. So lots of loud noises, car slams, and the dogs freak out. So sorry, you guys work from home. So one of the things that has happened is the antibody testing negatives and even the positives have gotten factored into the overall test counts. So it puts a whole lot into question, the science coming from the CDC, the states, how much are they reporting? So I'm happy to say 11 have acknowledged that they've made this mistake. There are still, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 that we know are doing this, but they have not publicly admitted it. Okay. So this is kind of telling. So the states that have, so if you live in these 11 states, just know that the numbers, they're working through it and they're going to make proper adjustments. I don't know the timeline. It's going to be based on every public health state department or every state public department of health. Okay. So Colorado, they misreported for only 1 week. So they've identified 7 days. We made a mistake. We're making changes. I don't know the timeline of that. Georgia, they've acknowledged they got publicly called out based on this manipulating chart that they did. They changed the bottom axis to showcase a total decline, and they spread out the same day by like 8 or 9 days just to see the look of it declining. Oh, it was a mistake. Okay. Maine is another one. Mississippi, Missouri, Pennsylvania, so PA, New Hampshire, they admitted 1 day of a mistake. Texas, Vermont, and Virginia, and Delaware. Those are the 11 states that the numbers that you might be seeing from your state might not be truly accurate. Okay. Now, the other thing, the 4 states that we know have done this but have not acknowledged it: Alaska, Arizona, and I'll talk a little bit about Arizona. Arizona is getting a lot of heat right now. Florida, we know Florida had that issue with the one individual who was released from her job in early May because she's like, this is not right. They were trying to get her to manipulate the stats. She's essentially a whistleblower down there. It's just blown the lid off of this. Iowa and Kentucky, those are 2 other states that are in this category. Arizona, last week, Arizona's numbers are on the incline. They've got pockets. And I had reported, I don't see it here. I had reported last week about the kind of individualized little centers. They were all like with different colored dots all over the US. And yellow is like the most recent kind of outbreaks. Arizona had a lot. And Arizona, in the midst of these outbreaks and localized areas, they disbanded their scientific board that compromised epidemiologists and scientists from Arizona State University and the University of Arizona. They literally like, we don't like your info. We don't need you guys. And they cut them. And so they disbanded this whole state, the university scientists and epidemiologists. That caught a lot of flack because they didn't like the info. Basically, they disbanded it because they didn't agree with it came down to them disagreeing with the modeling. So based on the epidemiological models and the outbreaks that were in current growth, these university scientists and researchers came to the state in one of their meetings and basically said, we're seeing this projected growth. And the state didn't like it. And they're like, we're done. We don't want to hear from you anymore. And they disbanded this group. They supposedly have brought the group back, but the question is, are they going to bring in these scientists, the same people or some representative from these universities? Because we have to value the data, whether or not it supports us. I mean, data is data, and we want the truth. It's not, anything other than public safety and making decisions. And what's happening is there's an appearance, it seems like, when the data doesn't support some of the political leanings, there's there's a minimization of that data, like, oh, that's not right, or manipulation, as we're seeing in Alaska, Arizona, particularly Florida, big one, Kentucky and Iowa. And we already know this from some of the actions that they've taken. So that's our news, friends. For the last few days, I'm sure there's going to be a whole lot more coming out. I'm curious to see. I really have to admit, I just totally disconnected. Like, if I was on my phone, I was posting stuff on eBay, trying to clean out Gabriel's toy room and closet. I've missed two season consignment sales. I always do consignment sales. It's so great for any of you parents, grandparents. It's the best way to get great stuff and save money, but it's my liquidation. So I disconnected. I'm going to reconnect back today and see what all is going on. But MB word 12,000, science matters, truth matters. It really does. Okay. So cupcake paper, the Eastern Panhandle of West Virginia near DC is a hot spot. Few people here are not wearing masks. I wear masks everywhere when I am out. Yes, and DC is definitely a big hot spot. And, it's problematic when we see events at Arlington Cemetery and there are no military wearing masks. There are no Secret Service mask wearers, and the administration's not wearing masks. It doesn't really create the exampling we need, as leaders, and like as a parent, I have to model good behavior for my child to follow my lead. If I, as a parent, decide not to do something and I want my child to do what I'm not doing, or, I want him to do what I'm not modeling, how does that mash up where your child's going to go, well, you're not doing it, I'm not doing it. So that's kind of the situation we're in. But DC is definitely a hot spot. They had the extension of their lockdown. One of the things I do want to say, Georgia, when we first opened, there was a significant, like 20% we had an increase in 20% of the traffic of people from other states coming into our state because we were open. That is also starting to happen. So we're going to see if a state's in lockdown and people are close in DC's, small little area, they can go to Maryland, they could go to Virginia, they can go over to West Virginia, and they can, even up Pennsylvania, they can move, and there's mobility, even if there's lockdown. And that's also, I think, one of the concerns we have. Morrison Monica says, Texas people don't hardly wear masks either. It makes me mad. I totally hear you. What is a good research link on the benefit of wearing masks? I have some folks that want the data, but I want to provide medical data. Yes. So there is this article. Let's see. It's Nature here. I'm gonna post the nature.com. So check out nature.com, and here's something that you can grab. So, one of the things I think it is very important, if you are supportive of data, research, science, and the truth, it's important that we highlight the data, the science, and truth, and we leave emotion out of some of the angst that we have with people who might not see it our way, or are total deniers, or just, have gone off the deep end, as many of us kind of say. Okay, so the article link down below, Carol, this is it. This is the research. This is the hamster research, the transmission rate as it relates to the hamsters wearing and having some facial guard. Oh, Kim. Hey, Kim. Thanks for joining as a member. So just know there's a lot of resource. And I totally agree. We have to lead by example. And so that's why I posted, on Instagram, I posted, the thing about it was somebody else. It was another doctor, an MD's words. And oh my gosh, the controversy. And then I posted me taking my oldest puppy. It's our solo time. She's my chunky monkey. She's lazy, sits around all day. And so it's the one time she actually gets active. And when I take her on a walk, I wear a mask. And so I posted that, and, I have to showcase I do this as well. I think it's important. So are you guys ready to talk about glandulars? This is an exciting topic. I honestly, when I peruse through now over 500 YouTube videos, it's insane. I don't think I've ever really dug into the topic of glandular health, the benefits of glandulars. And one of the things that I think is really critical is, especially now, when we're daily calculating our risk to a potential lethal virus, especially for any of us who have autoimmune challenges, underlying health conditions that could trigger the cytokine storm, the inflammatory response, or we know anybody in our family we're trying to protect. It's stressful, and we have kids, we're managing all this stuff. So one of the things that we need to kind of support is our glandular system. And glandulars by nature are going to be animal-based, freeze-dried elements of the gland from that animal. And I know you're going to go, oh my gosh, I know I get a lot of people freak out, like say, what? Bovine, porcupine, whatever. I'm not doing it. I will tell you this. The thing that we used to do as humans before the industrialization really kicked off this separation. When individuals would hunt and they would have an animal and they would eat the meat, they would process and eat the glands, the brain, the thymus gland. They would eat the adrenals, the kidney, the spleen. They'd eat every aspect, including the gland, the liver. And we do see some of this is cultural, like some cultural foods still have some of the glandulars, but pretty much across the board, we've kind of adulterated our glandular food exposure. And because of that, we have seen a tick up, an increase in glandular dysfunction. And when I say glandular dysfunction, this is all different types of dysfunction. The first and most common are going to be ovarian-related dysfunction. So cysts on the ovaries, PCOS, that's a metabolic dysfunction. Thyroid dysfunction. We are going to see adrenal dysfunction. We're going to see liver-related imbalances, sclerosis of the liver. We see an increase in, brain challenges from Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, dementia, even MS, there's the brain component. Hypothalamus, we see pituitary disorders, tumors, and cysts on many of those glands. So also for men, the testes are a glandular component and the prostate lies within that element. So when we look at how do we support our body, especially when many of you have tried a lot of things, and I know a lot of you are experts in, taking care of your body, following a natural lifestyle, eating the right foods and really being cognizant of what you're doing. One of the things that becomes critical is that you also add in glandulars. And so I'm going to share with you what I've been doing. I know our stress, as much as I'm like, oh, I'm not stressed out. We've had a lot happen in the month of March, February, March, leading up to the day we had to change our wedding and then quarantine mode. And that combination just triggered a whole bunch of stress-related imbalances in my own body. And I've tested all of this. And so I'm going to share with you a little bit about what I'm doing. But there is a global challenge that many of us have, and it's an axis, and it is a glandular connectivity of the hypothalamus, the pituitary gland, and the adrenal glands. Those three glands control a lot of the imbalance in all the other glands. They also control a lot of our ability to respond to stress or cause our inability to respond to stress. They can cause insomnia, weight gain, hormonal imbalances, inflammation. There's a lot at play. Blood pressure challenges. So, and even insulin and glucose and, insulin resistance, glucose intolerance, glands are in control of that. What we can do is we can take formulas, and they're called, glandular formulas, ecological formulas, different sources of gland. And they are desiccated glands. So instead of eating them, because God forbid, I can't eat, I'm not a fan of eating any organ meat. It's just not my thing. I can't stomach the whole idea of it, but I can take a capsule, no problem. And this essentially is the alternative to some of the, puddings or whatever, sweetbreads and things that you might have some familiarity with. Your grandparents and your great grandparents definitely ate glandulars. and they were healthier individuals and had less challenges than we have. So this is literally a glandular. This happens to be, and I have a few of these listed down below. This is what we call HRF. This is the thalamic glandular. It's essentially promoting the hypothalamic, pituitary, adrenal, those three, the axis. This is to balance all of that. So this has vitamin C. So it has a little vitamin C in it. It has hypothalamus, pituitary gland, adrenal gland, and brain gland. So if you are dealing with any type of stress, you are dealing with brain fog, just kind of fogginess, just not recalls really low. Definitely if there's history in your family, some genetic predisposition, that's definitely a factor. But also the other thing is the pituitary. The pituitary gland plays a big role in our thyroid production. And the thyroid, it's a lot lower. A lot of people think it's up here. It's actually right here. It's this pretty little, let's see, it looks like a little butterfly. So it's a butterfly shape. It's right here, okay? That gland also, there's signals. The pituitary is going to signal to other glands like the liver. So the liver is something that if the pituitary is not optimized, you might have liver challenges, detoxification challenges. You might have constipation. And also you might have higher cholesterol levels, a little fatty tissue of the liver. So this is really, really good. I really appreciate this particular product. This also is adrenal, and it's the full gland. So sometimes you'll get an adrenal cortex, or the full adrenal. So you want a full adrenal. You want both parts. There's two parts, inside triangle and outside triangle. You want both of them because inside and outside equally balance our stress, and the outside will balance our neurotransmitters. So that keeps all our neurotransmitters balanced and refreshed, keeps GABA and PABA balanced, norepinephrine, epinephrine, the whole histamine response that a lot of people have, POTS, and some of the other challenges, and cytokine storms. This can be a really good way to support your body. And these glandulars are not things that you take all the time. You literally would take a month's worth for maybe a month, and then you might add it again 6-7 months later. Now, if you test specifically those glands, so let's say you do an adrenal stress test kit, and we assess your DHEA levels, which tells us a little bit about the neurotransmitter imbalances, or you do a full neurotransmitter test, and we get your cortisol levels and we see the levels of everything, then we have a better idea. Okay, is the your adrenal gland raging, or is the output like minimal? When the output is minimal, there are other glandulars. Like I have some very specific adrenal focused glandulars that you would take. But there's always going to be a hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenal combo in supporting the adrenal glands. You can't heal one without addressing the others. And these are very powerful. Again, this is not something like you're taking every day, but you definitely want to add it into your mix. They have thymus glandular, and I posted one of my favorite brands. The other thing too is you want to make sure these are things you can't buy glandulars off the shelf. You can't buy them at Walmart or Costco. You can't buy them at a lot of the stores, even the supplement related stores. They won't sell true glandulars. These are where the difference is you are working with a professional. So for all of you, you have access to my full script store. You can get in, you can search glandular. You can get a kidney glandular, you can get an ovarian prostate glandular, you can get a liver related, a pancreatic, pancreas, spleen, thymus. There's all different types of glandular components that you can add in. And one of the things that's really critical is that, if you have testing and we identify you have imbalances, that gives us a period of time that we can take them. But the other thing, I know many of you who have thyroid imbalances and are on levothyroxine, and most of the time it's hypothyroid. Oh, Letitia, she says, good morning. Thank you, $20 super chat. She says, good morning, everyone. Reminder to thumbs up, share, and like the video. Oh, you're so sweet. Thanks for sharing the information, Dr. Melissa. Stay safe and always wear a mask or stay home if you need to, everyone. Heart and Smiley face. Thank you. Thank you. I so appreciate that. So yes, and if you do like this info, please definitely give me a thumbs up. I appreciate that. So for any of you who are dealing with thyroidal imbalances, it's not a bad idea to add in a thyroid glandular. Now, this is something you want to work closely with, especially if you are on medication, because the power of these is beneficial. It will help balance out that gland. And the other thing that it does is it'll balance the pituitary and the hypothalamus. Those are responsible for dictating how much T3, T4 we need, or slowing down that output. So one of the things that you find in a glandular like this is called Thyroidplex. And these are the two I'm taking. I take this one in the morning and I take this one at night. And when I start to notice some of my symptoms, hair shed is a big symptom that I have, kind of anxiousness, kind of red flushing of my face, just feeling like I'm on edge all the time. That's when I know it's time to test and definitely to add these into the mix. So in this, you get the nutrients that are needed to balance the power. So zinc, manganese, copper, and iodine, all in the right values. You get a little bit more manganese because that's something that nobody really talks about. Manganese is critical for the thyroid and the glands. You have L-tyrosine, and then there's the thyroid complex and anterior pituitary. So that's very critical for the TSH balance, the TSH levels, and the hypothalamus. And this is a milder dose. Like the dosing of the hypothalamus is 15 milligrams, not a lot. The thyroid, 150 milligrams. On this is my more intense. This is for the stress. If you feel like you're burnt out, stressed out, chronic fatigue, Epstein-Barr, this bad boy is powerful. This is hypothalamus is 150 milligrams and pituitary is 150. So, a big difference. It's 115 milligrams and 150 milligrams. So, this is a lot milder, but the concentration here is the thyroid gland itself. So there's also the thymus. So if you have immunity challenges, the thymus gland, I've even had people comment they've had their thymus radiated. Even more reason. And also for many of my breast cancer survivors, some degree of the breast radiation, regardless of left or right side, or if it's both, that were involved, the thymus gland actually shrinks. It gets radiated. And we need the glandular functionality. We need to wake it up. And so, I show you like the thymus tap, like I literally am tapping really hard on my chest, and that's how we wake it up. I demonstrate that in a video. You can do that, but sometimes you need even more power. So I want to put that out there for you guys. So I bet you're glad the restaurant offers it. Okay, let's see. Liver, I'm not a big fan. Katie Full 17. If I had my thymus removed, will the thymus glandular still work? Yes, it totally will. Because what the idea behind a glandular is it supports the glands that might be taxed and maxed. Okay, so maxed and taxed, like they are, their output, they're just overwhelmingly like, especially their adrenal glands during stress, we just are overwhelmed with stress and the adrenal glands are just constantly reacting. It's like your car. If you blow your transmission, we don't necessarily blow glands per se. And people say, oh, my gland died. Nothing in our body dies. We'd have necrosis and that would have to be surgically removed, but they do hibernate. And sometimes we need to give them a little life. And the glandulars are the way to do that. So if you want to wake something up, you want to invigorate it, and you also want to get it recalibrated and balance it out, that's where a glandular comes into play. It's just another resource, another tool in your healing toolbox that I'm presenting to all of you. And you can go in, like click on any of the links down below. Once you get into the full script catalog, you can literally search, like you can type in glandular, or you can type in kidney gland, or like the prostate. So for a lot of my male, I have a lot of male viewers, a lot of my men who have prostate challenges, I put them on, there's a particular product, it's called Prostate Health. It's fantastic. It's a game changer. That all on its own. So for any of you who have men in your lives who are having challenges with their bladders being not fully emptying, or they have prostate inflammation, high PSA levels, the prostate gland itself will help offset some of the estrogen dominance that they're getting. That then when it's paired up with some adrenal balancing, I mean, literally 3, 4, 5 days. These things work. These things, within a week of using these, you are going to notice changes. And sometimes if you are monitoring like your glucose, so if you're monitoring your blood sugar, you're going to notice some changes. So anybody who has diabetes, definitely you want a pancreas, a glandular pancreas, or the pancreatic gland. That gland, the pancreas, is also needed for proper digestion. So I'll put individuals who have IBS or Crohn's or colitis on a pancreatic, usually it's pancreatic, liver, spleen blend. I'll put them on a digestive related glandular, and it can help restore that functionality. The pancreas gland, its primary function is to help us digest food. Its main process is not to be balancing our blood sugar. And so when we strain it with really improper food, we minimize our digestive enzymes. We're, eating a lot of inflammatory related foods. And I highlighted that the other day, so you can watch that on the playlist. But when we aren't loving our pancreas, the pancreas kind of gets stuck with only balancing the blood sugar, and it fails on some of those other core functions. So these things are really great. Let's see. How about mad cow disease, protein-based diseases with glandular? So the thing that you have to know, one, it's not as present as it used to be. But two, the companies and the products, like the manufacturers, there's only a limited quantity of these manufacturers. So these are two different brands, like Pure Encapsulations is another one. They all go to only a handful of these glandular manufacturers. Most of them are based in New Zealand. New Zealand has some of the cleanest grass-fed, pure glandular products. And, there's pork. So the other thing you guys have to know is that some of you who are taking thyroid medication, that's a glandular. That's coming either from bovine or from a porcupine source. So just know, a lot of you are already consuming some synthetic or altered version. These are the natural versions that help support your body. Okay, so I hope that clears that up. Again, I always do my digging. The one thing that you do know, the process for any type of product to get into Fullscript, it's pretty intense. I'm actually working with 2 companies now to bring the product into the mix with them. And I mean, we dig into everything about the manufacturing, the detail, like everything. So, the source product, they're clean, and they're great. So just know that that's it. And the one thing is, it's BSE free, freeze dried, sometimes it's a bovine or ovine source. And, they will put the, different labels that you need to be aware of. Most of the time you can take these with a meal. Some, depending on what you're taking, you might want to take on empty stomach. Lori, does hypoglycemia need a pancreatic gland? Absolutely. I would do a pancreatic and adrenal combo. And sometimes you'll find where you take 2 separates, like, this is my thyroid balancer, but it also has some of the other ones because they're synergistic. So if we need our thyroid to function, we need to support that axis, the hypothalamic pituitary axis. That's critical. Let's see. In addition to having certain pre-existing conditions, what test is there to determine if your glandular levels are low? So there are a lot of different tests. For the adrenals, we address your cortisol level. For some of the other glands, it's a serum. It's maybe the enzyme levels. I know that there's stool sampling. I can get enzymes that are being released from the pancreas or the lack thereof. Hypoglycemia, hypothyroid states, imbalances in your hormone levels. It's the hormone levels that are critical that tells us more. So, for any pre-existing condition, you already know if you've been diagnosed with hypo or hyper, any hypo or hyper state, or subclinical hypo or subclinical hyper, those you got that diagnosis from an evaluation of values of clinical data. So that would be how you would know. Okay, so Monica says, I'm a mess. I think we all at some point in our lives go through dips. It's a cycle. And so nothing is stagnant. This is my inspiration for you. Nothing is stable. Nothing is stagnant. You know, we can go into optimized and balance optimized, but if we're in a low state, you can get out of it. So I know a lot of times it can feel like this is never ending. It's never going to change. Our body is constantly growing and changing. That's the beauty of healing, is we all have the capacity to heal. Letitia, Dr. Melissa, what can you do for ovarian cysts to go, since it's my first time having / getting it? Okay. So for sure, I would definitely do a glandular. That the one that I have on here, let's see, I can't see what I linked. Let me see, hold on. I linked for you all today, the female one, the cytozyme female. So just click on the cytozyme. I would get that, and then I would do every day castor oil packs over your ovaries. And I have a video of castor oil packing, so you could watch that video and see how to do it. But that changes, that's life changing. Okay, so let's see here. Diesel, don't even let me get started. Dr. Melissa would have a field day with my medical journey. Oh, so you're pescatarian. I think especially living in Florida, I was for sure way more pescatarian. We miss fresh fish. We had a lot of friends that would catch fish. No, you know what? Just have faith in your body. It will heal. And even if you've had glands that have been removed, because it's very common, women have, ovaries removed. We have, it sounds great. We have, thyroid removed, spleen. Brian doesn't have a spleen. We can live without organs, but then it becomes important that, especially if they are removed, that we use glandulars, because the glandular, if that gland, basically this is how it works. If that gland is puttering or at like 10, 20, 50% function, you can employ these and this will level it up to optimal function. And so, in those cases, like a spleen removal, yeah, I'd want that on a daily basis just to support the immunity. But then obviously every case is different. Consult your physicians, your clinicians, if you are on any medication. Same with, the pharmacist. So I get a lot of questions. I've had people that want me to break down the drug contraindications. There are too many out there for me to do that in a video format and even go into details with each of you individually. But what I always recommend is call the pharmacist. The pharmacist, when they're like at their little screen, they're doing the thing, they've got access. They can plug in an herb or a glandular and it'll say whether or not there's going to be a contraindication. Your doctors don't always have that access. And most of the time, they're in and out in 5-10 minutes max. So your pharmacist is your frontline resource about potential contraindicators. Cupcake paper. I'm like a medical encyclopedia. Oh, that's cute. Let's see. Did a castor oil pack over mastectomy incision already today? Yes. Oh, I love castor oil packs. And in fact, I am working on something. So I'm working on a whole bunch of stuff. I'm in the biorhythms. I don't know if you guys are into biorhythms, but the summertime's like my time. I get really energized. The sun's out. It's my birthday season. I get stuff done in the summer. And so I'm working on something. I'll probably have, initially it'll be a video on YouTube and then a specific access to a video tutorial. But I am really honing in on so many of you who've messaged me about thyroid challenges. So this is going to be something I'm going to be focusing on. If you guys are in need thyroid balancing, either hyper, clinically diagnosed hypo, autoimmunity, Graves, and any of the Hashimoto's categories, and then subclinical, maybe your levels are, your doctor says they're fine, but you're like, I'm not feeling fine. I want to address all of you in a specific kind of workshop. So I'm working on that as well. But yeah, castor oil packs are great. VL Sims, will this work with menopause? Oh, absolutely. Hot flashes and sweats. I also had my gallbladder removed. Yeah, so gallbladder is another gland organ. So with the gallbladder, if you have your gallbladder removed or gallbladder challenges, ox bile salts. So check that out. Click on any of the links. We've got, actually, let me log in. Let's see here. I'm going to pull up the recommendation. I'll tell you exactly what to search for. Let's see. Let's see, ox bile. Okay, so the ox bile that I love it's ox bile salts. Let's see here. Where is it? I'll tell you exactly what to get. Here it is. So it's a product by Vital Nutrients, and it's called Pancreatin and Ox Bile Extract. And it's amazing. You get pancreatic-based enzymes plus ox bile. That's going to help minimize digestive imbalances. Really, really good. So I would definitely check that out. And, oh, we're buffering. Oh, man. Hopefully you guys can all see me. Okay. Yeah. So gallbladder. So if you get your gallbladder removed, you definitely want to have pancreatic and gallbladder support. Ox bile salts are fantastic. Not all are created the same or, created equally. You want the higher quality of them, but that can be a big change. One of the things that happens is when the gallbladder gets removed, it takes about 5 to 7 years, but your body will actually, this is fascinating. The body will create a reservoir where the gallbladder was, and it will store the bile in this false, it's a false gallbladder. So people who even have, most of the time you get your gallbladder removed because you have gallstones. And that simply is because you lack the pancreatic enzymes to break down fat. So that the pancreatic enzyme blend plus the ox bile, the pancreatin and ox bile that I recommend, Vital Nutrients. Actually, let me see. I'm going to grab a link for you. Hold on one second. So you guys, for all of you who do have gallbladder challenges, let me grab this link really fast. Hold on. It takes me like 3 minutes to grab this. What you want to do is you want to take that because gallstones you can save a gallbladder. Don't believe what anybody says. You can save it. I've saved tons. I've had some that have done gallbladder cleanses with folks that literally, why is this not going? Let me see. Let me refresh. They literally have had 500 stones completely released out of the body. I mean, it's insane. Okay, so pancreatin. Oh. So let me save that, copy. Okay, so you can grab this product in the description box below over on YouTube. So that link right there, that's the ox bile pancreatin enzyme blend for all of you gallbladder. You guys don't have gallbladders. Okay, Cupcake Paper. I had my gallbladder removed. Do a show on this topic. Yes, actually, I don't think I've done a show on gallbladders. I will do that. Okay, thank you. All right, so our digestive enzymes also needed along with ox bile pancreatic extract. And this is for people who don't have a gallbladder. I have mine, but have trouble digesting fats. Okay, so Lori, if you do have trouble digesting fats, that is pancreatic. I would do that ox bile pancreatic extract combined with, and not at the same time, but I definitely introduce into your diet. Let's see, the one digestive enzyme that's really good. I think it's called Lipo Gold. It is by my favorite. Let me see. I don't know if we carry this or not, but Lipo Gold. I think we do. Let's see. Is it Lipo Gold? I have to think about this. Sometimes I have too many products in my head. Lipo Gold, here it is, Enzymatica. Let me grab a link for you. It's called Lipo, like LYPO Gold. That is for the folks that cannot break down fat. And that's a really common challenge for a lot of folks. So let me grab this link for you. Lipo Gold. Okay, let me copy, and I'm going to post this for you down here. Okay, and YouTube, Instagram's going to go away. We're almost at our end, so we'll end up coming back again tomorrow. But gosh, I love this stuff. It's been 2 days away, and I love chatting with all of you. So thank you for throwing all these things my way. And thank you for the super chats, Cupcake Paper, and Instagram. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. All right. So Cupcake Paper and Letitia, thank you so much for the super chats. Those are always so grateful. Okay. So let's see here. Hashimoto's. So Hashimoto's definitely can benefit from a glandular. It's one of those things you want to really, really make sure that you are getting your labs tested within a month of you starting these. So a lot of times, and it's required, it's not always enacted, but if you are on, and this is from the medical side, if you're on any type of thyroid medication, you should be getting labs and your blood tested every 3 months. That's not always the case. Most of the time you're going back every 6 months. And so they're not following up in as tight as they need to be with the medication dosage. So for sure, if you're going to try something out and you are on medication, make sure you're trying it out. And that way we can get a new reading. We can get a new level. And a lot of times you are going to titrate down on your levothyroxine or some of those other meds. What we don't want to do is we don't want to trigger a thyroid storm. And when I first started in work with people in hormone balancing, particularly thyroid, I didn't realize how fast this stuff works. And there were a few cases where we did kick off a thyroid storm, and it was because we were not adding other things to the mix. I've learned a whole lot with that. But the balance, some people's bodies just do really well. They just absorb those nutrients and they're on top of it. So, okay, Kathy, could hormones play a part with an elevated temp? I have no other symptoms, but have had a fever of 99.5 for over 3 months. I would say it could be hormones, but it could be virus. And don't freak out. I'm, not saying it's COVID virus or anything like that. But what I would say is assess your lymph nodes. And you have lymph nodes everywhere. They're underneath our arms. They're in the back of our neck, back of our head. They're along the ribs. They're down the groin. Palpate and see if they're feeling enlarged. And if there's certain areas where they feel enlarged, you could very well have like an Epstein-Barr situation or some sort of just kind of low level infection. And then at 99.5, the other question I would have would be, have you had any type of recent surgeries or anything like that, or are more prone to maybe some sort of mild bacterial exposure, maybe even digestively. But, when we're elevated, it's an indication that something's going on with the body. If that maintains that way for another month, I would definitely want you to get your CBC panel and look at the eosinophils, which are some of the lymph-related immune components. Oh, Katie Full 17, $4.99. Yay! Sunshine, heart, sunshine. Yay! Thank you. I appreciate the live chat. Yay! Okay, so I would test that. My toilet paper earrings. I've been cleaning this whole area. This office needs a redo. So I'm still, I feel like Gabriel took them. They're fun. And so I'm sure I'm going to find them. I'm realizing my child is like me. We're a little bit of a pack rat, and he loves containers. And so every time I go places, I buy him like these little like purses. He loves coins. He's taken all my little mini coin purses. He puts everything in these. Like I keep finding all this stuff. Okay. So will EBV make your white blood cells high? It can, absolutely. It can make your white blood cells high. There's other things that can make your white blood cells high as well. But yeah, it definitely can. There can be elevation. But what I'd want to do is I'd want to identify, for sure, if you feel like you have EBV or exposure, get tested, and then you'll also see the antibodies. So that's where you get a serologic test as well. When I was in it, I was full blown and I was off the charts. Like I was a wreck. Let's see. Okay, so I think I've answered a lot of your questions. I've got to run because I've got to get kicking on mommy camp. So we setting up Gabriel's room. I have a whole bunch of stuff I ordered on eBay and Amazon to basically we're going to test out what really homeschooling looks like this summer in the event that we may be homeschooling Gabriel for next year. We're just not sure. The 9 cases here in Georgia of kids freaks me out, to be honest with you, as a parent. And so we don't know yet. And I'm just going to get prepared. So if there are any homeschool moms out there, please DM me or message me or email me what supplies I need. Like I think I'm going to be buying a laminator today. Use laminator because I'm all about reusing. That's why I love eBay. By the way, eBay is awesome. So I've liquidating Gabriel's toys and stuff. So, but yeah, mommy camp. Mommy camp is going to be fun. Mommy camp is going to be engaging. I'm going Montessori style plus really honing in on tactile, fine motor stuff. This is not my thing. Like, my thing is health and wellness. I could talk to you all about enzymes and like all body systems. But when it comes to schooling and educating kids, so I'm immersing myself in video tutorials and connecting with other moms. And luckily we have a lot of friends and family members that are teachers. But yeah, it's kind of exciting. So definitely DM me. And yes, please give my video a thumbs up, share this. And Lori, you tutored Gabriel's age. Yeah, it's fun. So, and that's going to be the big question is whether I do this or I bring somebody in. If I brought somebody in, that's a whole other question. But yeah, Montessori style, I'm very excited about. He's very intrigued. And so that's what we're going with. So anyway, all right, you guys, thanks for listening to my homeschool rant. It totally was, but thank you for being so engaged today. I missed all of you Tuesday, Monday, and Sunday, but hopefully I look well rested and refreshed. I actually got to sleep in both days. It was magical. So thank you, everybody. We'll tune in tomorrow, 9 a.m. And Pat and Ron, congratulate them on their 2 cute little kitties. I'm so excited. I think Bristol and Elliot were their names as of the other day. So, all right, have a great day, everybody. I will see you on Wednesday. And thanks, Letitia and Cupcake Paper and I think Katie for your live super chats. I'm grateful. So thank you. Have a great day. See you later. Bye, everybody.